Good morning. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Newport News Honor Guard and the singing of the National Anthem by Ms. Siuma'u Latalu.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Michael Sinclair, and welcome to the Newport News Police Department's 28th Basic Law Enforcement Academy graduation. Welcome, distinguished visitors, recruit family members, friends, police personnel, and recruiting staff. I would also like to introduce those seated on stage. DCJS Representative for the Hampton Roads Region, Michael Coker. Chief of Police Steve Drew, the Honorable Judge Hoffman, Assistant Chief Brandon Cresswell, Assistant Chief Eric Hires, and Assistant Chief Mike Grinstead. I'd also like to welcome, seated in the audience, City Council Member Dr. Sandra Cherry. Pastor Wes Taylor will now deliver the invocation.
Well, good morning to all of you, and congratulations to all of our graduates here today. My name is Wes Taylor. I'm the senior pastor here at Temple Baptist Church, and on behalf of the Temple family, we welcome everyone who is here today. We also want you to know that as a church, we pray for and support all of you who serve in law enforcement. In fact, this Sunday, we will be praying for you specifically in our morning worship service. We are certainly glad that you are here in our community. We're not so happy when you are behind us with your blue light, admittedly. I have been on that occasion a few times in my life, but I will say we do certainly appreciate and respect the job that you do. For those of you who are graduating, I pray that this will be a day you will cherish and celebrate for the rest of your lives. In the book of Isaiah, the Lord intended to send a prophet to speak to his people. And so this was, by the way, during a very tumultuous and difficult time. So he asked a question. He said, in the book of Isaiah chapter 1, he said, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And Isaiah the prophet answered the call. He said, "Here am I, send me. Isaiah answered the call to be a prophet, a calling that many people would never embrace. And in a similar way, those of you who are graduating today have answered a call that few are willing to make. And I want you to know that I am personally grateful for that, and I know all of you are as well. So as we begin this graduation service, let's begin with a word of prayer. Would you pray with me? Father in heaven, we give thanks to you for the men and women who serve this community in law enforcement. They are willing to do a job that few are willing to do. They are willing to answer a call that says, "Here am I, send me." A job that's under constant scrutiny, pressure, and often involves danger. And they wear many hats in this community. They are peacemakers. They stand up for the weak and the vulnerable. They help those who are handicapped. They stop the violent. They direct traffic. They settle disputes. They arrest criminals, and they keep dangerous things out of our communities, and so many more things. And so, God, we come today, we pray for them, that you'll protect them, that for all the officers in this room, that you'll renew their joy if they're weary, that you'll give them self-control when they are facing difficult situations, and courage in every terrifying and difficult engagement that they encounter. And may this service be an inspiration to encourage both new and veteran officers to serve you with passion and dedication. We thank you for all of your gifts and blessings, for we know that they come indeed from your hands alone. And it's in Jesus' good name we pray these things. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Taylor. And thank you once again for allowing us to hold our ceremony here at Temple Baptist Church. It is my pleasure to now introduce Drew Cox, a young adult police commissioner and student at An Achievable Dream, who will now deliver some remarks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Drew Cox, and I'm going to be a senior at Achievable Dream Middle High School this upcoming school year. I'm also one of Chief Drew's Young Adult Police Commissioners. The Young Adult Police Commissioners, or YAPC, is a group of teenagers from every high school in the city. We come together every Wednesday to eat, discuss prominent topics in our community, and to have fun in each other's company. The first meeting I ever had with YAPC was less than 2 weeks before the shooting at Heritage High School. Even though I had only interacted with Chief Drew once or twice before that, he had no reservations in talking about the event with me or any of the other members of YAPC, including students who went to Heritage and witnessed the event firsthand. That open display of honesty and trust gained him a lot of favor and respect in my books. Watching the footage of brave officers storming the school to help contain the dangerous situation really put the NNPD in an entirely new light for me. I cherish every officer in this city for all of the hard work they do for us. Needless to say, I was so excited when Chief asked me to do this speech a few months ago. This is an opportunity for me to personally have a hand in welcoming the newest wave of spectacular officers to the force. And from the moment I met these wonderful people, I knew they were going to be some of the best officers the city has ever seen. It all started at our Meet the Recruits meeting we had with this class. I sat between two officers and started to converse with them. We immediately hit it off and bonded over our mutual hate of spiders. I won't say your names to embarrass you, but you know who you are. I am still not over those horror stories, by the way. Every recruit I talked to that day had an amazing conversation with me. I only asked that when they finally got out into the field, that they waved to me whenever they saw me. Sure enough, when the meeting was over, all of them remembered to wave to me on the way out. Their amazingness didn't even stop once they all waved goodbye. I invited some of them to the Juneteenth debate that I participated in. I fully expected them to forget about it. I certainly had. Imagine my surprise when I saw two of the recruits in the audience cheering my team on and congratulating me after the event, even though my partner and I didn't win our case. And on their time off, no less. The point I'm making here with these stories is that these guys are already at the top of their game, and they aren't even certified officers yet. Everyone sitting here today has already exhibited everything a police officer should be and more. Keep up the outstanding work, Class 28 and 29. This is the goal right here. You guys have some big shoes to fill, and I have no doubt that you guys will be up for the task. I'll end with these last few things. Remember to stay humble, remember to be understanding, remember to be fair and just. And if you see me frantically waving at you, please wave back. Thank you for all of your time, and best of luck to all of you new officers.
Thank you, Drew. Recruit Lauren Perdue, who was nominated by their peers, will now bring greetings from the class.
Good morning, family, friends, loved ones, and honored guests. On behalf of my class, I would like to thank you all for joining us here today to help celebrate this stepping stone. We'd also like to thank Chief Drew and the command staff for taking time from their demanding schedules to be here. Additionally, we'd also like to thank Temple Baptist Church for so graciously opening their doors. Last, but certainly not least, we would like to thank the whole Academy staff and all the instructors we had along the way. Without you, we wouldn't be here. This is a moment we have been looking forward to for 28 weeks, but it's transitory, and it certainly does not define our Academy experience. I wish I had time to tell you stories about each one of my classmates, how they each individually strengthened our group. It took a lot to get here, a lot of ups and downs, some tears, and some bruising. Along the way, we all had various defining junctures where we got to come together and show ourselves what we are made of, overcome adversity, and most importantly, come face to face with who we want to be. Because this profession is not for everyone, as the sagacious NPO call would remind us. Early on, our class definitely faced some adversity, but of our own volition. About half of our class, through no fault of their own, started a week and a half late. It does not sound like much time, but I can assure you it felt monumental. With this second half, we struggled to work together and come to be the kindred you see sitting before you now. From this dysfunction stemmed one of our class traditions. As a class, our morale was at an all-time low. We had once again gotten smoked for failing to meet the standard. So we filed back into the classroom. Hardy took it on himself to try and help inspire us to keep pushing. On the board, he wrote a motivational quote of his own creation. This quote has been lost to the ages, but from then on, most days, someone in the class would put a quote on the board, either of their own creation or from a renowned source. One of the quotes of the day I would like to share with you comes from Pastor Charles R. Swindoll. It is, "Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it." Nowhere else across our Academy experience was this idea more epitomized than our taser experience. On the day we got tased, the instructors had not confirmed if it was happening that day or not. The tension was ostensible. That morning, we had our official meet and greet with the command staff. All of us tried to put on our best poker face, but I'm not sure how successful we were. After they left, we got our operation and safety presentation for the taser. It was confirmed. It's happening. From there, we all gathered in the warehouse as mats were laid out. The tension was now heavy and palpable. Olivera, our class leader at the time, bravely stood at the front of the line and led the way. Her confidence was inspiring, and we all fell in line to meet our fate. The warehouse was an outlandish place that day. It was full of screams, laughter, tears, the whole gamut. Most importantly, in that warehouse, on that day, we finally came together as a class. Those 5 seconds that the taser ran would forever alter the trajectory of our class. Through that momentary adversity, we managed to set aside all the issues we had to that point. As a class, we would like to thank Sergeant Hollinsworth, Corporal Carter, MPO Jackson, MPO O'Barry. I'm not sure if you had a class thank you for tasing them before, but thank you. Taser was not the end of the adversity we faced. Defensive Tactics, or DT Week, had its fair share of hardship, but as Sergeant Carter would say, and as we would quote to each other, "You don't have my permission to die." But this he means we are not allowed to quit on ourselves or each other, to always keep fighting. Sergeant Carter in this regard definitely led by example. Despite having his shoulder operated on and in a sling, he was still out on the mats with us most days, doing everything he could to help guide and instruct us through the material. Across the 2 weeks, we would remind ourselves of Sergeant Carter's words as we steadily got more and more banged up. By the end, many of us were varying shades of purple and blue, with some of our joints feeling as though they aged several years. A few collected some injuries, but it did not dissuade them. They kept pushing. The 2 weeks culminated in us doing groundwork and trying to put our instructors into cuffs as though they were a suspect we were trying to take into custody. The instructors displayed varying degrees of noncompliance, from going boneless to their best T-Rex impersonations with them pulling their arms really tight into their chest. The experience left many of us humbled, on the side of the mat, gasping for breath. But we learned the value of not letting yourself give in and what it truly means. We'd like to thank Sergeant Carter, Sergeant Liu, Corporal Jesse, MPO O'Berry, MPO Poe, MPO Webb, Detective Angston, and Officer Highsmith for all their patience as we struggled like a group of newborn baby deer with zero idea on how to orient our bodies in space. Across the 28 weeks, we were not just tased or taught how to beat each other up. We were also given the opportunity to start to learn to communicate with those of varying backgrounds. Communication, as we've been told since day one of the academy, is a huge portion of this job. We will spend more time talking to others than anything else. You have to be out interacting with people from all walks of life because you cannot serve and protect the community without the community. As Chief Fox said, and one of our quotes of the day, the mic is always on. Someone is always watching and listening. Your words and how you conduct yourself in every regard matters. To assist in the development of our communication skills all throughout the academy, the staff would run various scenarios to simulate real-life calls for service. Part of this training was CIT, our Crisis Intervention Team training. During this week, we were taught how to communicate with people who have mental illness or are experiencing crisis. For the scenarios, we were broken off in pairs and given a mock dispatch. All the scenarios were run out of the warehouse, the kicker being that the rest of the class was seated inside observing to learn what went well, observe good tactics, or gather different perspectives for approaching various problems. It definitely added a layer of stress. Another layer was added by MPO Rulin going through the training with us, with his mountain of experience in juxtaposition to our lowly recruit status. That week, he functioned as both our instructor and partner. His standing orders for the class during the week was not to react to anything said during the scenarios while you were in the audience. This is much easier said than done, especially with MPO Jackson being one of our role players, who is one of the best actors across the entire academy staff and knows exactly how to test your bearing. She managed to break our entire class when it was Polk's turn to go. He introduced himself as Officer Polk, and she immediately responds by deliberately and drastically mispronouncing his name. Our entire class broke. There was no composure to be had. We got in a good bit of trouble after that, but still, to this day, most of us can no longer say Polk's name correctly. Thank you to Judge Hoffman, Sergeant Goss, Corporal Walker, MPO Greathouse, MPO Jackson, MPO Wen, MPO Rulin, Detective Nunez, Detective Gahn, Sergeant Morissette, Officer Swan, and Officer Worthen. In closing, I'd like to thank our 2 academy coordinators. MPO Hanrahan, I know you did not get to spend much time with us, which I know you're probably a little bit grateful for, after some of the stories you've heard. Nevertheless, we are grateful for the time we did get with you. You provided the good kick in the butt that many of us needed. MPO Call, you were our beacon of unwavering wisdom and support. Your infallible patience through all our classes' ups and downs has been nothing short of heroic. As we prepare to go out into the street, I humbly speak for everyone here when I say that each day we will endeavor to not disappoint your time and your effort you invested in us. Truly, thank you for everything you do. We know we were not an easy bunch. Finally, I would like to close out with one last quote of the day. Evil is never defeated by entities larger than ourselves, but is repulsed through our spheres of influence. Stop looking to others to be the change. Focus on the good you can give to others and yourself. This is how we inflict the change we want to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Recruit Purdue. I would now like to introduce our guest speaker this morning, Michael J. Coker. Michael is a passionate leader and educator, well known for his unwavering dedication to the criminal justice profession. As a 20-year veteran of the Portsmouth Police Department, Michael effectively occupied various assignments in uniform patrol and investigations, and supervised a multitude of different units during his tenure, including homicide, robbery, domestic violence, sex crimes unit. Michael graduated summa cum laude from Bethel University of Professional Studies with both a bachelor's and master's degree in criminal justice. Michael travels nationally conducting training on essential topics of criminal investigations and leadership that both motivate and empower employees to occupy a leadership role. Currently, Mike is our field representative with the Department of Criminal Justice Services. His area is Region 9, which incorporates over 55 police agencies. He has held the post for close to 2 years.
There are big ships, there are wood ships, there are cruise ships, and there are ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships. And may they always be. That's my friend, Steve Drew. I've known him for a short period of time. I cannot even start here without acknowledging it, my friend, and I appreciate it. To the ecclesiastical prognosticator of this Holy Trinity, if Dr. Lyons is here, just let her know I said it in a sentence. To the ecclesiastical prognosticator of this Holy Trinity, thank you for allowing me to grace this desk. I remember one time, y'all, when I was on a call, and it wasn't a call involving a robbery or any major crime, but it was a little kid crying because his G.I. Joe fell down the sewer. Okay, I got some young folks in here. That's a little doll. It fell down the sewer, y'all. You know, and this kid is crying. Now, common sense would say I can just go to the store and buy another. No. He wanted that one. Next thing I know, y'all, I'm trying to fish that thing out. I got 6 other patrol officers. You know, there's always one patrol officer went to shop class. And we done put some paper clips together, and we got that G.I. Joe out. You know why we got it out? Because we showed up to do what's right. We showed up. These folks right here showed up. Regardless of the year of 2020 when police work was so bad, they showed up. The front row here showed up. You gotta show up and say, I'm gonna make a difference. We can't make a difference from the extremes. We gotta make a difference from coming together. And there's no way we can show up without trying. Chief Howard showed up all the way from Georgia. He came here and he showed up. Chief Greswell showed up. You know, he probably was a sex symbol on the baseball team. You know, the pretty one back here, you know. But he showed up. They laughed a little too hard at you, Chief Greswell. Grimstead showed up. He fought in for World War I. But he showed up. folks are showing up. My friend Captain Spencer showed up. When I first got this job, he laid the foundation for what Lieutenant Sinclair have capitalized on because he showed up. As you can see, I probably have a few notes here because MPO Jackson told me I need to bring some notes in case I forget. So wherever she at, I'm gonna get her. Also, Walker showed up. During training class, she hurt her ankle, but she ain't complain about it. She ain't whine about it. She kept going because she showed up. There's a genius in the class because he's originally from Portsmouth. He showed up. But he told me he showed up because of Chief Drew. He said there was something about him that he saw the realness and what he did. He showed up. We got to show up. We can't continue to be law enforcement mad about things that we can't control. I say it again, I ain't scared. We got to stop worrying about stuff we can't control. We have a generation of kids who decided to show up, and we have a responsibility to create an atmosphere so they can grow. It's a different time. It's a different day. You can no longer fight a new millennium problem using 1960s methods. These folks showing up. Let me digress here a little bit. I want to mention, in Baptist fashion, my good friend Melissa Morgan is on the sick and shut-in list. All the Baptists in here know what I'm talking about, so I've got to send a few prayer warriors around her house because she's on the sick and shut-in list. I won't say she's been drinking. That ain't none of my business. I won't say that Lieutenant Webster told me, but I ain't going to say that. I ain't trying to. One of my ubiquitous clandestine informants told me she was on the sick and shut-in list, so I ain't going to be long. Look, class, to get to the next phase, see, right now, they ain't even worrying about who's speaking. They ain't even worrying about out here. You know what they worrying about? Their field training office. Because that's the next phase they got to get out. I'm going to tell y'all right now, there are 4 ways to get out of field training. Listen to me carefully. 4 ways. The first way, you got to reduce the drama. Okay, let me tell you what. There's some unavoidable drama, and then there's avoidable drama. You need to reduce the drama. What's unavoidable drama? That's anything family related. Oh, this might not be the day to talk about family? Well, they're in here. That's drama. Some of them showed up. You're like, oh, my God, that's my uncle. I ain't seen him. That's my Aunt Shirley. I never saw her before. And so I'm telling you right there, avoidable drama is relationships. Old school people that tell you there are 2 things that jam this up is bad relationships and alcohol. I queued that up. Did I not, captains? Did I not freshen that one up? Because we're in a ecclesiastical, And so these are things you got to look at and bear in mind. You got to reduce the drama. The second thing you got to do is kind of come to work. You got to come to work. Stop your crying and whining. Come to work. Can't be officer of the year home. Come to work. You in training. What you want, family? We need you to work with them because they got to come to work. You can't get out of training if you not at work. The third thing you need to do, you got to be able to work well without close supervision. Oh, that was deep. I'll say it again. You got to be able to work well without close supervision. There's no way they're going to release you unless you can work. I ain't say you can work with no supervision. I said close supervision. You ain't going to never get out unless you can do that. And for sure, you got to be able to work well with others. It's the one thing I learned from this agency, from the top down. They've created an atmosphere to treat the people with respect. And the first person you got to be able to work well with is your field training officer. Have you lost your mind? You're never going to get out unless you do that. I remember I went to a training class one time, and Zig Ziglar said the only thing worse than training employees and losing them is to not to train them and keep them. This agency has committed over 1,000 hours to making sure that you're trained. That group up top, like, whoo, they in it right now. We got to have a better trained officers because people are smarter. They're asking for things different. And I'm telling you, these are the things that can help you out. I'm not the focus. I'm telling you right now, y'all, there's some people I think got it right. Brian Tracy had it right when he said people with no goals are doomed forever to work for people that do. Set some goals because you already did. You already did, Walker. Team leader, you already did. You got children. Some of you got children. Set the example. Coach K was right, and I hate Duke University. But Coach K was right. He said, boss, when do you think about retiring? He said, when I'm no longer dedicated to prepare. He didn't say when. He said, when I'm no longer dedicated to prepare, I no longer want to do the job. The preparation is right here. These folks right here, y'all have helped them do the preparation. You've helped them. I don't know about Carl, but the rest of y'all, they helped them do the preparation. Dr. Maya Angelou was right when she says, when you know more, you got to do more. That's what the vice mayor does. That's why you went to school, to do more, to help more. I've seen you do it. You got to do more. Benjamin Mays was absolutely right when he said, I only had a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it, and I didn't choose it. But it is up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is wrapped up in it. Class leader came up here and said that they've decided to put their minutes together to make a difference in this wonderful city. I want to tell you something, y'all. A police officer, family, listen to me carefully. A police officer is someone who at one point wrote a blank check, made payable to the people of the United States of America, up to and including their lives. That's an honor. It's an honor because they showed up to make sure that you can show up to work, to make sure you can show up. They showed up today, y'all. They showed up, Chief. They showed up, and they said, regardless of what's going on, they're going to show up. They showed up asking other people to follow behind them. Class, do you have code? Do you have honor?
Yes, sir, we do.
Be seated. My name is Michael Coker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That was very motivational. Our BLE coordinators, Master Police Officer Michael Call and Master Police Officer Nicholas Hanrahan, will now present the James D. Fox Award.
Thank you. Good morning. We'd like to take a moment to summarize the James D. Fox Award of Excellence and introduce the award recipient. James Fox began his career in law enforcement while he was attending college. He was a dispatcher, police officer, and sergeant for the Virginia Commonwealth University Police Department. He was hired by the Henrico County Police Department in 1973, where he rose through the ranks and was promoted to the rank of assistant chief in 1991. He retired from the Henrico County Police Department in February of 2002. Chief Fox began his tenure with the Newport News Police Department on August 1st of 2004. As chief of police, he worked tirelessly to reduce crime and build the city of Newport News into a vibrant, growing community. He retired from our department and law enforcement on September 1st of 2013. Throughout his career, Chief Fox had a passion for leadership and excellence in all aspects of policing. He had a vision to provide the best possible training to Newport News police recruits and felt being an independent academy was a critical step in accomplishing this.
Through his tireless leadership and vision, the Newport News Training Academy became an independent academy in 2009, and today we graduate our 28th class. We appreciate his leadership and dedication to the safety of our community and his tireless efforts to making Newport News Police Department one of excellence. Our status as an independent and nationally accredited training academy is one of his many legacies that he has given us. The James D. Fox Award for Excellence is appropriately presented to the graduate of the Newport News Police Department's Basic Law Enforcement Training Academy who has displayed academic performance, teamwork, leadership, passion, character, commitment. The Academy training staff selects this recipient based on the recruit's overall performance in the area of the 28-week-long academy. This year was a very tough decision. We had 3 candidates right there at the running. But this year it is my privilege to announce the recipient of the James D. Fox Award of Excellence to recruit and soon-to-be officer, Alora Oliveira.
Chief Steve Drew will now offer remarks.
First off, good morning. That speech that Mr. Coker gave is not the one I approved. I did not sign off on that speech, so we'll talk about that later. But no, Mike is a friend, he's very humble about what he does, but in essence, he looks over 55 departments in their training to make sure that they're following standards. And we spend a lot of time talking about how do we make this department better, not just resting on where we're at, but how do we get to the next level. So I appreciate you, Mike, for being here. I will tell you, the good judge leaned over and said, I'm not following him. So, yeah. But he has a true heart for people, and he has a true heart for recruits that are getting ready to join this job. And I just wanted to say thank you, my friend. There's a couple other people that I want to recognize that are here. Some of them have been mentioned already, but I would not do my due diligence and I feel very passionately about it. One, Vice Mayor Cherry is here today. She never misses one of our events. I want to thank you for being here. Dr. Lyons, who is a helpful advisor to me in this department as we build and strengthen our community relationships. Dr. Lyons is back here in the back. She came not only to see the recruits graduate, but Drew give her excellent speech. And I don't know how anybody could not have been moved by that rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Was that not amazing? Oh my gosh. Wow. I want to thank Rob Coleman from the Newport News Police Foundation for being here. Rob, thank you. The foundation supports us in a lot of ways and makes these events possible. So Rob, thank you for not only for your friendship, but what you do in the community and the department, and I appreciate that. I want to thank our Newport News Police Department recruiting division. None of these individuals would be here if you all didn't put in the time and effort and do the background investigations, come up to my office and fight for each one of these individuals to join this department. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I know some of those conversations are not the easiest, but I appreciate it. And all of you fought very hard for these individuals and those sitting behind you. As we talked about, 25 individuals are going to join the ranks today. There's another 23. There better be 23 up there that are right behind them come November. And we're hiring for the class that'll start in August. There's one more group that I got to recognize before I have just a few short remarks. I know it's warm, but I'm telling you this is a great day. This is not, I told the class the other day, myself and the 3 chiefs sat down and had about an hour and a half meeting with them. This is not just a graduation. This is an event for this city. And you should be able to tell that by the individuals that are here. But I would ask, if you would just indulge me for one moment, anyone here that is currently or is retired from or has served in the United States military, would you just stand? It's not to embarrass you, just for me to pay respects. Would you please stand for me for just 1 second? thank you for what you do for this country. And I don't know that we say that enough. And we got to check some facts in that speech. I'm not sure Grinstead was around World War I, but we'll check. We'll check. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today to address the class and this community, and Mike hit on it several times, is this job is hard. When I meet each one of these individuals in my office, there's kind of three pillars. One, we are going to be the police in this city. I'm not going to tolerate individuals living in communities that they're afraid. And it doesn't matter to me of skin color, it doesn't matter to me about what your beliefs are, it doesn't matter to me about your income or your zip code. I'm not going to tolerate individuals who live in communities in fear. Second is we are going to have a foundation of community policing. There's a reason that we have a youth speak at every graduation, every promotion ceremony, every award ceremony, every 911 service that we have, and on National Night Out. This department and myself are trying to send a message to the community that youth matter to me. I'm also trying to send a message to the men and women who wear this uniform that youth matter to me. That is our future. They drive me crazy at times. But all of us had people that reached out and helped us along the way that made a difference in our lives. I imagine we'll meet some of them today as we see badges get pinned on these young men and women. But this job is hard. The third pillar for me is I try to run this department like a family. Not a business where people are just code numbers or a number on a sheet. Like a family. The reason I do that is because I know what these men and women give up to do this job. I know what they go through in training, but I know what they give up to do this job. The things that they will miss. And at times that's hard for families to understand. When I need them to come back because they have to work over, because if they go to, God forbid, a violent scene and I need them to stand by. If we have to come back in for some event going on in the city or there's a marathon or city events. I know the things that they'll miss. It's not easy working a midnight shift and getting off at 8 or 9 in the morning and then waiting around an hour before you go to court. That's hard. Those are long days. There's not a lot of great, healthy restaurants open after midnight, by the way, right? Health and wellness. That's hard. It's hard working weekends when your son or daughter or family member wants you to come to a baseball game or a recital or some type of church event and you have to work. That's what Mike's talking about. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying it's hard. I ain't even touched on what you're going to see while you do this job. The worst situations people face at a particular time in their life, these individuals, officers here, some have done it for 40 plus years, some are just starting the first day of their 25 years plus. The stuff that they will see and respond to. Traffic accidents, a child that may be hurt, a loss of life. And believe it or not, those things do not just go away. They are implanted in our mind. We have tried to give them tools and will continue to give them tools to be able to suppress that and deal with those situations and to continue to move forward. But it is hard. Some do it by working out, some do it with their faith. I hope a lot of them do it with relationships with their family, with the partnerships that they work with. That's why there's such a bond in law enforcement, there's such a bond in the military, because you face those challenges that sometimes you can only share with the people who go through them with you. That's hard. And it never leaves. And then I ask you to go home and try to get a good 6 or 8 hours sleep and come back, and you know what I ask them to do the next day? The same thing over again, and oftentimes individuals in our communities, in our society, across our television screen, expect us to get it right every single time, and I would submit to you that that is unfair and unreasonable. So the question I ask is, why do they continue to come back? Why has Chief Grinstead done this job 42 years? Why do these individuals sign up through recruiting and want to be police officers? Why would you want to do that? I would submit to you it is because of their heart. I would submit to you it is because of what you all implanted in them, their families, to join this department and this profession. They have a heart of service. Several of them that I talked to said that their parents their family members are a little unsure, are a little concerned, and that's okay. This is a hard job. It is a hard job, but they have the heart to serve other people. They have the heart and desire that they hope we never have to, but by law of averages, at some point we will. Respond to something like happened in Buffalo. Respond to something like happened in Texas. Respond to things that we see across our country. Respond to things that we saw happen in Illinois just over the 4th of July, where people are just out enjoying a 4th of July parade. Men and women are going to respond to that. We ask them to. And they willingly do it. I promise you, don't get mad at me, Vice Mayor, I am not paying them enough to do what I'm asking them to do. But they still do it. Now, once we figure out why, we'll all be millionaires. But I believe it is what you implanted in them and who they are as they brought up. People that looked out for them and helped them along the way and who will help them in their career. There's several captains here in the front row, lieutenants here in the balconies, retired officers that are here, chaplains that are here. Walter, thank you. Those people care about this community. Citizens of Newport News, there's 186,000 people that may not be in this sanctuary, but are excited that these 25 men and women are getting ready to walk across this stage, get a badge, and go out and serve them. That's why I treat them, run this department, to the best of my ability as a family. We do not always agree. Are the 3 assistant chiefs laughing at me? We do not always agree. Like any family, we do not always agree. But everyone out here in uniform, especially you all, you matter to me. Because I know what you will see. So I encourage you a couple things. Lean on each other and lean on the training that you've had. Lean on the experience that you have here, your field training officers, your captains in your precinct. There are members in their community. There is a reason that we hold our graduations here. And I will tell you, in this city, there are a lot of people that pray for this police department. A lot. And I don't take that for granted. I don't take that for granted. This job is hard. It will get harder. The academy, 7, 8 months, they get mad at me because we keep adding additional weeks on. It will get harder. When you get out there in the field with field training, it'll get hard. When you graduate field training, it'll get harder. When you move up the ranks in detective division, captains, lieutenant sergeants, it gets harder. When you interact with people who need help, those situations get harder. Policing is harder. When we're in front of Judge Hoffman, juries and judges, they want to see different amount of evidence. It gets harder. Don't quit. I want to thank Jared Grimes for being here, Director of Juvenile Services. He does a phenomenal job with youth in our city. I want to thank the training division for the time that you invested in these men and women. It's important when their own class recognizes what you do. All of you, even you, Paul. I know Mike give you a hard time. This job is hard. And I say that as the chief of police, but I'm sure many of you have said it to your family members and friends as well. Do you have something for me, Sarah? Just a message? It just doesn't come from the world of policing.
And one of the things that we talked about was how we all wait in life for things to get easier. Think in your own life if you've waited for something to get easier. Oh, I just got to get through this, and then I just got to get through preseason, and then it'll be okay. I just got to get through my junior year of high school, and then the classes are going to get easier. Or I just got to get to my spring and my senior year of college, it's going to be easier. It's what we do. We wait for stuff to get easier. it will never get easier. What happens is you handle hard better. That's what happens. Most people think that it's going to get easier. Life is going to get easier. Basketball is going to get easier. School's going to get easier. It never gets easier. What happens is you become someone that handles hard stuff better. So that's a mental shift that has to occur in each of your brains. It has to. Because if you go around waiting for stuff to get easier in life, it's never going to happen. And then what happens? Oh, it's so hard. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, I don't know when is it going to be easy for me? Oh, it's easy for other people. It's not. It's hard. And the second we see you handling stuff, handling hard better, what are we going to do? We're going to make it hard. We're going to make it hard. Because we're preparing for you for when you leave here. Not just basketball and life. And if you think life, when you leave college, is going to all of a sudden get easy because you graduated and you got a new degree, it's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. So make yourself a person that handles hard well. Not someone that's waiting for the easy. Because if you have a meaningful pursuit in life, it will never be easy. If you're trying to win a championship, if you're trying to have a family, ask your parents, do you think it was ever easy for them to raise kids? Karen, is it easy? It's not. Any meaningful pursuit in life, if you want to be successful at it, it goes to the people that handle hard well. Those are the people that get the stuff they want. People that wait around for easy, you probably see them at the bus stop. They're waiting for the easy bus to come around. Easy bus never comes around. You've got to handle hard. Okay, so don't get discouraged through this time. If it's hard, don't get discouraged. It's supposed to be. And don't wait for it to be, oh, I just got to get through the summer. And then it'll all of a sudden get easy in the fall. No, it won't. It won't get easy in the fall. So make yourself someone that handles hard well. And then whatever comes after, you're going to be great. You're going to be great.
Hopefully that resonates, some things that Mike was saying, the things that we talked about. You do not have to graduate this academy, walk out tomorrow and start field training and get it right every time. You do not have to have all the answers. None of us do. We're still looking for them. But what you have to do, recruits, what you have to do is you have to show up. You have to show up. On the hard days, on the hard scenes, in the hard situations, you have to show up. Because there is 186,000 citizens in this great city, a city that builds the greatest ships in the world, has the smartest scientists on the planet, a home of diverse community, and a strong military. They are counting on you. You have to show up. Frady, are you here today?
Yes, sir.
I asked this recruit class and every class for me to do me one favor for the next 25 years. Chiefs will come and go. Leadership, academy, will come and go. But I asked the recruits to do one thing for me for the next 25 years of your career. Can you share with this audience what that is?
You asked us, sir, to have one positive interaction with the youth every day.
Did you all hear that in the back? I asked them, thank you, my friend, I asked them to have one positive interaction with at least one youth every day to make a difference. Our future. So when Drew waves at you, right, we're waving back. When we're getting out of the car and interacting with people in our community, it matters. It makes a difference. I'm going to get out of the way. I want to thank all of you for coming today. I am proud of this class. I love them. They matter. When people talk about reimagining law enforcement, when they talk about change and how do we get better, this is how we do it. This is the next group to come along and make things better in our community, in this city, in our United States. Congratulations, men and women. Great job.
will now move into the badge presentations. As I call the name of your loved ones, if you would please join Chief Drew down at the badge table here. Families, as your loved one is called, please come up and pin the badge on your individual. Officer Katie Centron. We had the practice dummy out.
So we do know that family members are coming down right now to get pictures of put the badge on, and I thought we practiced on putting the badge on. Yes, sir.
Officer Jessica Barker. Officer Jaquan Batten. Officer Kevin Bingman.
Am I correct? 30 years in the Hampton Police Department, retired at age.
Officer Jamil Burden. Officer Rogers Chasson. Officer Darrell Coles. Officer Carl A. Frady IV. Officer Carrie Amanda Hansen. Officer Abraham Hardy. Officer Richard Hernandez. Officer Christopher Jackson. Officer Daquan Kimball. Officer Cameron Mays. Officer Thomas F. Morelli III. Officer Gavin Ober. Oh, my God. Officer Jacob Nixon. Officer Alora Oliveira. Officer Ian Owen. Officer Matthew Owen. Officer Lauren Perdue. Officer Raekwon Polk. Officer Ashlyn Sanders. Officer Antoinette Walker. Officer Me In. Before we move on, could I have the family of Officer Jessica Barker please come down? We need to do a picture op. 256 kids right there. All those jokes.
The Honorable Judge Matthew Hoffman will now swear in the graduates.
So in court, we have a saying that I'm never late because they can't start without me. In this case, you can't finish without me. Chief Drew always gives me a couple minutes. I'm only going to take 45. Just kidding. This is a very special event for me, and I'm always honored when I'm asked to do this for several reasons. Number one, I started my legal career as a prosecutor here in the city of Newport News in 1996, and I had worked cases, just like you recruits will, and probationary police officers with the gentleman you see in the stripes down there. They wore those same colors as you did, and this department offers those opportunities for those who take it, and I appreciate being invited to do this. Chief Drew talked about kindness and family, and I just want to mention two things, how important that is to me as a judge in this city. When we talk about kindness, the probationary police officers know me because I taught their crisis intervention training for a morning. I taught them about how to deal with individuals with mental health issues and how we need to have kindness and treat them differently than we treat other people. And if we have that patience and kindness and simply let them talk, that we can help them in ways that traditional law enforcement hasn't in the past. And we provide that here in Newport News with a special docket that addresses individuals with mental health issues. And I'm very, very proud of that program, and I know Chief Drew is a big supporter of that and lets me come and talk to the recruits about that program that we have. So they know me from there. And when we talk about family, I just want to talk about the family that you are joining as probationary police officers. I have a stepson who's 14, and he knows what I've done and has known what I've done for a number of years and has never really been that impressed. And then one day, he saw Chief Drew on the news, and he said, "Hey, do you know him?" And I said, "Yeah, I know Chief Drew." He's like, "Can I meet him?" And I said, "I can probably arrange that." So sure enough, I told Chief Drew, and lo and behold, in terms of family, Chief Drew showed up at his next JV baseball game. That's the kind of man that Chief Drew is, and that's the kind of family that you are joining. So congratulations, and now we will make it official. Please repeat after I say your name. I say your name. All right. So I've been told we are going to start one by one in alphabetical order as a result of an issue that has occurred in the past, but we are going to start with the first recruit.
I, Katie Centron. I, Jessica Barker.
I, Jake Wambet. I, Kevin Beeman.
I, Joe Burden.
I, Roger Chasson.
I, Darrell Coles. I, Carl Frady.
I, Carrie Amanda Hanson.
I, Abraham Hardy. I, Richard Hernandez. I, Christopher Jackson. I, DeQuan Cameron. I, Cameron Meggs.
I, Thomas Morelli.
I, Gavin Over. I, Jacob Nixon.
I, Laura Oliveira.
I, Ian Ellis. Matthew Owen.
I, Laura Purdue.
I, Raquel Pope.
I, Ashley Sanders. I, Antoinette Walker. I, May M.
Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent upon me as a probationary police officer for the city of Newport News, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations, you are now probationary police officer.
Assistant Chief Brandon Cresswell will now administer the oath of honor.
I will now administer the oath of honor. I invite all sworn, active, and retired to please stand and join in. Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. On my honor. I will never betray my badge. My integrity, my character. Or the public trust. I will always have the courage. To hold myself and others. Accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution. And the community I serve. So help me God.
Today, you have chosen to take an oath, wear the badge, and make a difference. But then roll on towards you, recognizing your daily sacrifices and brave acts. Welcome to the Newport News family. Be safe, and thank you for taking on a career to serve and protect the citizens of Newport News.
Please join me one more time in congratulating our newest officer.
Pastor Taylor, will you please come forward to deliver the benediction?
Well, I have to tell you, I always feel so encouraged after these graduations. It just lifts my spirits in a way that not many things do. And I want to thank everybody for being here to support these men and women. I want to encourage you to, if you're a Christian, to pray for them and just support them in general. You know that we will be praying for you. My ministry as a pastor, and also Matt Beagle, who's also a pastor in our church, it extends to all of you here. If we can serve the police department in any way, we're here to do so. If you don't have a church home, come join us this Sunday, 10 a.m. We'd love to have you as well. Thank you for being here. Let's close with a word of prayer. Father, we thank you today again for those who've answered the call, and we do rejoice with them and celebrate with them on this special day. And they have made a serious commitment, and I pray that you give them grace each and every day to keep the vows and the pledges that they have made on this day. I pray that you fill their days with joy and give them many good connections in this community with people, as Chief Drew spoke of. Continue to bless those who lead our police department, like Chief Drew and others, and give them wisdom and grace in their endeavors as well. Watch over each and every family here. I pray for the families of these officers who've answered the call. Lord, that you would help them. I know it's a challenge because they have to trust you with these men and women who are now officers, and I pray that you give them grace as well. And watch over those who serve our community. Help our community become a better place each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you for coming this morning in support of our new officers. For families of our officers, we ask that you wait here in the sanctuary. The officers will have papers to sign and then will be released to you. Now, please stand for the recessional.